The history of photography in Israel, or more broadly the Holy Land, during the mid to late 1800s is a fascinating journey through the development of early photographic technology, intertwined with a growing European fascination with the biblical and historical significance of the region. This period saw a mix of religious pilgrims, explorers, and photographers who sought to document the land's religious and historical heritage using emerging photographic techniques. Photography was introduced to the world in 1839 with the invention of the daguerreotypes by Louise de Jeux, whose name I probably just massacred. Almost immediately after its invention, European photographers began traveling to regions of great historical, religious, and cultural importance, including the Holy Land. For European Christians, the region now known as Israel held deep religious significance, as it was home to key events from the Bible, especially the life of Jesus Christ. This religious interest drove many photographers to the area, eager to document sacred sites for religious, scientific, and artistic purposes. One of the first to arrive in the Holy Land was Joseph-Philibert Girault de Prangey, another name I probably just massacred. He was a French architectural historian and photographer who traveled through the region in the early 1840s. Prangey's daguerreotypes of sites like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Dome of the Rock, and other locations in Jerusalem are among the earliest known photographic images of these places. Though the daguerreotype process was highly detailed, it was also cumbersome, requiring long exposure times and sensitive handling, which made photographing in the hot, dusty, and often chaotic environment of the region a bit of a challenge. Prangey's photographs are valuable not only for their artistic merit, but also for their historical documentation. The region at this time was part of the Ottoman Empire, and many of the sites he photographed look quite different from how they appear today due to later renovations or reconstructions. Welcome along, my fellow time travelers. This time around, we are traveling back in time to check out some historical photos of the Holy Land. You're going to see some really cool snaps, some of which you may have never seen before. Before I begin, please like and share the show and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. And if you want to see more shows like this, please go to campfireshop.com and buy a bunch of candles and herbal supplements and teas. Look, you're going to buy that stuff anyway, you may as well buy them there and support my productions. Now please join me around the campfire. All images you're going to see from this point forward will be daguerreotype photographs by Prangey. This photograph depicts a view of Jerusalem with the Dome of the Rock prominently featured at the center. The dome is a well-known Islamic shrine located on the Temple Mount in the Old City of Jerusalem. The walls surrounding the Dome of the Rock, as well as the other architectural features like the minaret, add to the historical significance of the scene. This type of photograph, created during the mid-19th century, is invaluable for historical records of sacred and ancient sites before modern photography. This image also captures the texture of Jerusalem's old stonework, including the fortifications and rocky terrain, providing a rare glimpse into the city as it appeared in the 1840s. This photograph showcases a detailed view of ancient stone walls and ruins in Jerusalem, likely part of the city's fortifications. The image captures an area filled with stone arches, steps, and passageways, typical of the old city's defensive structures. In the background, some trees and a slightly elevated landscape can be seen, adding depth to the overall composition. The photograph, rendered in the distinctive tones of the daguerreotype process, highlights the texture and aging of the stone, with its cracks and uneven surfaces accentuated by the early photographic technique. The precise rendering of light and shadow, typical of Prangey's work, gives a timeless quality to this historical moment. The play of light across the stone structures creates a sense of the location's historical and architectural significance, preserving a scene of Jerusalem from the mid-19th century. This type of image would have been particularly valuable at the time, as it is today, as it documented historical sites in unprecedented detail, capturing them for posterity. Prangey's photos are key contributions to the understanding of the region's ancient architecture. This photo captures a detailed and atmospheric view of Jerusalem's ancient architecture. The image showcases a section of the old city's fortifications, with imposing stone walls and a variety of structures visible within the frame. The walls feature arches, towers, and battlements that evoke the defensive architecture of the city. At the forefront is a large stone arch, possibly a gate or part of a ruined building. The stone shows signs of aging with worn edges and cracks that emphasize the ancient character of the site. Behind the walls, a mix of domes and towers rises above the structures, reflecting the diverse architectural influences present in Jerusalem. The most prominent of these is a tall tower, likely a minaret, which provides a focal point in the background of the image. The dark tones and contrasts, typical of the daguerreotype process, lend a mysterious and timeless quality to the photograph. The detailed rendering of the stonework, combined with the soft light and shadows, captures the rugged beauty of Jerusalem's old cityscape, offering a rare glimpse into its mid-19th century appearance. This photograph presents a wide and dramatic view of a rugged landscape on the outskirts of Jerusalem. The image captures a rocky hillside with ancient structures perched on the cliff's edge. These buildings appear to be part of the city's fortifications or perhaps an abandoned settlement, blending into the natural stone of the hill. The foreground shows the rocky terrain, with a path winding up the slope, likely a trail used by travelers or pilgrims. In the background, the view extends across the valley, revealing a vast landscape dotted with olive trees or similar vegetation, a common sight in the region. The terraces visible on the hillside suggest agricultural activity or ancient methods of cultivation. The distant horizon is softly blurred, giving a sense of depth and expansiveness to the image. The contrast between the natural, untouched terrain and the human-made structures emphasizes the historical and timeless quality of the scene. The play of light and shadow highlights the textures of both the rock and the stone buildings, capturing the intricate detail of the landscape. This photo captures a sweeping view of what appears to be the Temple Mount area in Jerusalem. The central structure is the grand rectangular platform, which houses some of the most significant religious sites. The photograph provides a clear view of the walled enclosure, with large stone walls running along the perimeter of the area, rising above a terraced hillside. In the foreground, you can see a network of agricultural terraces, most likely olive groves or similar cultivation typical of the region. The terraces give the impression of a carefully maintained landscape, which contrasts with the imposing stone architecture of the Temple Mount. The light and shadow work of the photograph highlight the rough textures of the land and the structure, while the fading hues, likely due to age, lend an otherworldly quality to the scene. This photograph offers a rare historical glimpse of Jerusalem before modern-day development, preserving the ancient relationship between land and its monumental religious structures. Prangey's meticulous work in capturing such expansive vistas was groundbreaking for the era, providing valuable documentation of these sacred sites for posterity. This photograph depicts an iconic view of the Tower of David and the surrounding fortifications in Jerusalem. The Tower of David is a well-known ancient citadel, situated near the Jaffa Gate entrance to the Old City. The strong, towering stone walls dominate the scene, with a cylindrical tower standing out prominently on the right side of the image. This photo captures the rugged and defensive nature of Jerusalem's ancient walls, with their thick, imposing structure running along the hillside. Trees and vegetation grow along the walls, softening the otherwise harsh lines of the stone. A winding path or road on the left leads the eye toward the horizon, likely a route that passed along the outside of the city's fortifications. The slight fading and imperfections typical of early photography add to the historical atmosphere of the image. This daguerreotype photograph, taken in 1844, captures an architectural detail of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. The image focuses on the intricately carved entrance to the church, showing its rich Byzantine and Romanesque design elements. The twin arches, with one blocked up and the other serving as the open doorway, feature elaborate stone carvings, including detailed floral and geometric patterns on the arch moldings and other areas. These designs showcase the ornate craftsmanship typical of this significant religious site. The left arch, which is bricked up, contrasts with the right side, where a darkened doorway allows a glimpse into the shadowy interior of the church. The visible pillars and arches, made of stone, reflect the grand architecture of the era, while the surrounding stonework is weathered, adding a sense of age and history to the building. The stone blocks that make up the lower portion of the wall emphasize the ancient nature of the church's construction. In the lower right corner, blurred figures in traditional dress appear to be moving, possibly pilgrims or visitors to the holy site. Their motion adds a dynamic element to the otherwise still and detailed architectural photograph, hinting at the ongoing spiritual significance of the church as a place of pilgrimage. This photograph captures the grandeur of the mosque known as the Grand Mosque of Damascus, one of the oldest and most important mosques in the world. The image focuses on the exterior of the mosque, highlighting its large dome and the expansive arcade of arches that line the courtyard. The architecture is a blend of Byzantine and Islamic styles, evident in the thick stone walls, arches, and dome structure. The distinctive, alternating stonework on the facade reflects the traditional Syrian style, which incorporates both local and classical elements. The building's dome is visible on the left side of the image, dominating the composition and symbolizing the mosque's significance as a major religious and cultural landmark. In the background, the expansive walls and columns that support the roof of the mosque's courtyard emphasize the size and architectural sophistication of the structure. The tall, slender minaret rises in the distance, serving as a focal point of the mosque's skyline and a marker of Islamic worship. The slightly worn appearance and bluish hue, typical of daguerreotypes, lend a timeless quality to the image, preserving a snapshot of this important historical site. This photograph depicts an ancient section of Jerusalem's architecture. The focus is on a series of stone arches adorned with detailed carvings, typical of the Byzantine and Romanesque styles. The arches appear to be part of a ruin or an older, weathered structure, with greenery growing in and around the stonework, adding a sense of age and abandonment. The intricate stone carvings around the arches include floral and geometric patterns, suggesting their original grandeur and artistry. The stones are uneven, some of which have shifted over time, giving the impression that the structure has endured centuries of exposure to the elements. In the foreground, a small portion of a damaged structure is visible, which could be remnants of a wall or a small column. The texture of the stonework and the natural erosion evident in the photograph highlight the passage of time. The soft light of the daguerreotype process enhances the texture of the ancient stones, capturing the fine details of the architecture while evoking the historical and spiritual significance of the location. This image, like the others, serves as a valuable historical record of Jerusalem's ancient buildings, preserved through Prangey's pioneering photography. This photograph captures a detailed view of Robinson's Arch, a significant archaeological and architectural remnant located in Jerusalem. Robinson's Arch is part of the massive Herodian stonework of the Temple Mount, once supporting a grand staircase that led up to the temple platform in the Second Temple period. The image focuses on the monumental stone blocks that make up the arch, with their immense size and finely carved edges showcasing the engineering prowess of ancient builders. One of the most striking aspects of the photo is the sheer scale of the stones, with a solitary figure positioned at the base of the arch, providing a sense of proportion. This individual, dressed in traditional attire, is dwarfed by the monumental stonework, emphasizing the grandeur of the structure. The lower half of the arch remains buried under rubble and stone debris, which speaks to the long history of destruction and reconstruction that has taken place in Jerusalem over the centuries. The texture of the stone and the cracks that have formed over time are accentuated by the lighting in the daguerreotype, giving the image a sense of age and timelessness. This photograph offers a rare glimpse into the state of the ancient structure during the mid-19th century, contributing to the understanding of Jerusalem's rich architectural heritage. This photograph depicts the Dome of the Rock, often referred to as La Grande Mosque by travelers in the 19th century. The image captures the iconic Islamic shrine located on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, a site of great religious significance for Muslims, Christians, and Jews. The large central dome dominates the image, resting on an octagonal base surrounded by intricate windows and arches. The Dome of the Rock's architecture is a masterpiece of Islamic design, and this photograph provides a clear view of the structure's detailed stonework and its symmetrical beauty. The octagonal shape is visible from the base, and you could also see smaller domes and arches in the foreground, likely part of other nearby structures on the Temple Mount. The building's walls, as captured in this daguerreotype, exhibit detailed relief work, showcasing the remarkable craftsmanship of the time. The play of light and shadow on the stone surfaces emphasizes the texture and scale of the building, with the sharpness of the daguerreotype process highlighting the windows and arches that encircle the dome. In the foreground, there are several smaller structures, possibly associated with religious practice, such as ablution fountains or smaller dome buildings for prayer. The surrounding courtyard appears quiet and empty, offering a serene view of the sacred space. This panoramic photograph offers a sweeping view of the city of Jerusalem in the mid-19th century. The image captures the walled old city from a distance, revealing its dense cluster of buildings set against the hilly terrain. The walls, which surround the city, are clearly visible, stretching across the landscape and marking the historic boundaries of Jerusalem. In the middle of the cityscape, notable landmarks like the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque are faintly visible, their domes rising above the smaller buildings. The distinctive shapes of minarets, towers, and other architectural features dot the skyline, offering insight into the blend of religious and cultural influences present in Jerusalem at the time. The foreground of the photograph shows the rugged landscape surrounding the city, with dirt paths, sparse vegetation, and a few scattered trees. These paths seem to lead toward the city gates, suggesting routes used by travelers and pilgrims heading toward the holy sites. The hills around Jerusalem give way to the flatter expanse of the city's buildings, creating a stark contrast between the natural terrain and the human-made structures. This image is an invaluable historical record of the city's appearance during an era when it was still largely untouched by industrialization. This photograph captures the Lion's Gate, one of the entrances to the old city of Jerusalem. The gate, also known as St. Stephen's Gate, is a prominent feature of the city's eastern walls and is distinguished by the carvings of 4 lions, 2 on each side, near the top of the entrance, which gives the gate its name. The stone walls are built of the characteristic, rough-hewn style of ancient fortifications, with the large blocks of stone displaying weathering from centuries of exposure to the elements. The gate's arch is the focal point of the image, with its slightly pointed, Gothic-style arch and the detailed stone carvings that surround it. The upper part of the wall, with its crenellations, reflects its defensive purpose. The photograph highlights the intricate reliefs and designs around the gate, such as floral motifs and symbolic elements above the arch, as well as the decorative lion sculptures carved into the stone. These elements reflect both the architectural styles and the cultural significance of the gate throughout Jerusalem's history. As with many of Prangey's photographs, the use of the daguerreotype process captures a high level of detail, allowing the viewer to appreciate the texture and craftsmanship of the ancient stonework. This image provides a rare and valuable glimpse into Jerusalem's old city as it appeared in the mid-19th century, before the modern restorations and developments that have since occurred. This photograph captures the Tombs of the Kings in Jerusalem, an ancient burial complex carved into the rocky hillside. The site is traditionally thought to be the burial place of royalty or significant figures, though it is now believed to be the tomb of Queen Helena and her family. The image showcases the monumental rock-cut architecture, with the tombs intricately carved into the stone face of the hill. On the left, the most prominent structure is a pyramid-topped tomb, resembling classical and Hellenistic architectural influences. This tomb features a peaked, pyramid-like roof, supported by pilasters, with a simple yet imposing design. To the right, another carved tomb can be seen with a facade supported by columns, echoing Greco-Roman styles of architecture. The stonework is weathered, reflecting centuries of exposure to the elements, but the details of the columns and the surrounding carvings are still visible in this early daguerreotype. The foreground is filled with scattered rocks and debris, adding to the sense of antiquity and the passage of time. The image captures the stark contrast between the carved stone structures and the rugged, natural rock of the hillside, creating a timeless view of this significant archaeological and historical site. Prangey's photograph serves as a valuable historical record, preserving the appearance of the Tombs of the Kings as they stood in the mid-19th century, long before modern conservation efforts. The use of the daguerreotype process enhances the texture and detail of the stone, offering a rare and insightful glimpse into one of Jerusalem's most famous burial sites. This photograph captures a narrow, shadowed street scene in Jerusalem's Old City. The image is framed by the tall stone facades of buildings that rise above the winding street below, creating a sense of depth and enclosure typical of the city's ancient urban layout. The central building features a combination of architectural styles with a distinctly Ottoman influence. Its facade includes rounded arch windows, a prominent balcony with intricate stonework, and alternating dark and light stone patterns, which is characteristic of Middle Eastern architecture. The upper part of the building includes a dome-like structure, possibly the roof or part of a room on the top floor. The narrow alleyway is cast in deep shadow, with the sunlight illuminating the building's facade and highlighting the rich texture of the stone walls. The worn stones and windows suggest the age and continuous use of the structures in this historical part of the city. This daguerreotype preserves an authentic and atmospheric moment from mid-19th century Jerusalem, showcasing the timeless nature of the old city's architecture. The play of light and shadow enhances the sense of mystery and history that often accompanies Jerusalem's narrow streets, while the detail in the stonework and architecture demonstrates Prangey's technical skill in capturing this ancient and complex urban environment. This panoramic photograph offers a breathtaking view of Jerusalem as seen from the Mount of Olives. The image captures the sprawling cityscape with the Dome of the Rock prominently positioned in the center, a striking feature of the old city. The Golden Dome is surrounded by the flat-roof buildings, minarets, and domes of Jerusalem, all enclosed by the city's ancient walls. In the foreground, the Mount of Olives, historically significant for its religious and cultural associations, provides the vantage point for this panoramic view. The landscape below shows a mixture of natural greenery and historical architecture, including the clearly visible wall with its gates and defensive structures. The city itself appears densely packed with the buildings, creating a sense of a bustling urban environment nestled within the confines of its stone walls. The distant hills on the horizon add a sense of depth to the image, emphasizing the elevated position of the Mount of Olives. The photograph beautifully captures the historical and religious importance of this location, with the Dome of the Rock serving as the focal point against the backdrop of Jerusalem's ancient streets and structures. As with many of Prangey's works, the daguerreotype process adds a unique tone to the image, giving it an almost ethereal quality. This view from the Mount of Olives provides a rare glimpse into Jerusalem as it appeared in the mid-19th century, preserved through one of the earliest forms of photography. This image not only highlights the city's religious landmarks, but also its architectural grandeur and historical significance. So, what do you think of these historic photos of the Holy Land? If you could travel back in time, would you go to a place like that? You know I would. If you enjoyed this show, kindly remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because there will be more shows like this one, and I hope you check those out too. Please check out the links below to learn how to support my research and productions. This channel is sponsored by CampfireShop.com. That's my company, where you can order the highest quality and exclusive candles, herbal supplements, teas, and more. Look, you're gonna buy the stuff anyway. You love candles. You're buying candles already. You're gonna be buying candles as gifts. Please go to CampfireShop.com and buy some candles. We also have herbal supplements, and we're stocking lots of great teas. I would also appreciate it if you could become a member of my channel and or join me on Patreon, where you could watch exclusive videos of cool places that I've been to. But even if I didn't offer anything, don't you want to support my productions? Can't do this without you. In fact, you could even leave a super thanks in the comments below. Kindly be kind to all of our fellow Earthlings, and please do not harm them. They don't like that. And please do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog, or both. You and they will be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.